Fantastic. Ivor, over to you.
Thank you. Temba, great honor also to have you here as the CEO of Land Bank. He's stepping in this morning um, also for Dr. Ivan Meyer. Land Bank, of course, being a great farm partner of Food Mzansi. So maybe, Temba, I want to get to the industries part to go over to you. Maybe give us a broad overview of where Land Bank is at the moment. I was very pleased at a discussion 2 days ago with some industry stakeholders on the stage. And a few years ago, when we asked them about Land Bank, it was almost like a swear word. 2 days ago, it was just praise, even from corners I didn't expect it. So maybe tell us about the revitalization and the turnaround where Land Bank is at the moment, Tim.
Thank you very much, Ivo. Very good morning, especially to the Honorable Deputy President. I need to also extend, Deputy President, our sincere appreciation for your support since NAMPO in Botterville. We have been with you to many farm visits before NAMPO and after NAMPO, and we are here with you today. So we really appreciate the support of government led by you. We know that you are also leading the land reform in particular, so we thank you so much. I think in terms of the question in particular, where the land bank is now, of course, we had our own challenges from 2020, which saw the bank going into default. It took us, Deputy President, more than 4 years to cure that default. In September last year, we succeeded to cure the default with all lenders, and that enabled us to come back and play the role that the land bank is supposed to play, which is really developing the sector and also driving transformation. I think, Deputy President, we downplay the role that the public development banks like land banks are supposed to play. You look in South Africa in particular, Deputy President, you combine the balance sheet of all the development banks in South Africa, that is Land Bank, DBSA, IDC, and all others. It's 350 billion. That is the balance sheet of the public development bank in South Africa. If you look in the developing countries, there's about over 300 public development bank. The balance sheet of them is $8 trillion. So the public development bank, like Land Bank, play a very critical role in developing the sector. Since we have been back, Deputy President, we saw Land Bank now starting to really focus quite a lot in driving the development of agricultural sector and also starting to transform the sector. We are very thankful of the support from government with programs like the blended finance, which in the past 2.5 years, Deputy President, we have been able to bring in around 410 emerging farmers into the blended finance worth just under 4 billion rand. And thankful to the government with the blended finance, because about half of that, Deputy President, is actually grant facilitated by the blended finance. And we are actually seeing all these emerging farmers participating across the different types of commodities. We have farmers here in the Western Cape that we have invested in that are into deciduous fruits. We have seen some that are into citrus. And across all the different commodities, we are seeing a lot of farmers coming in. So the Land Bank has been back playing its role in developing the sector, and we're starting to see an increasing demand for many of our services. We are thankful for the partners that we work with all the time that are really helping us to play the role that we are supposed to be playing. Over and above that, we have also taken it and made it our responsibility, Deputy President, to really assist and create market access for many of these farmers. We have partnered with many of the market access partners, which is making it really possible for many of these farmers to access the market. So that is what we have been up to, and of course, developing, playing our role to develop the sector and to transform.
Thank you so much, Temba. Thank you so much, Temba. I'm going to ask all of you to stay on stage. Look pretty, being live streamed across the world, actually. But we want to introduce you, Deputy President, shortly to some of the farmers in the room. But we'll go to some industry voices here. And Wendy, if you don't mind joining me, just standing, come next to me. This is Wendy Peterson. She's the CEO of SA Olive. Maybe, yeah, what's your pretty side? Yeah. Move up a little bit so we're away from the speakers. Maybe go there, Wendy, if you don't, so we can see you. Um, Sectors are very, very diverse, innovative. South African agriculture, we know, and we want to hear some of the opportunities in the global markets. How does your industry think about some of the challenges you're facing and some of the opportunities in global markets, specifically the olive industry, which is a pretty big thing in the Western Cape?
Thank you so much, Ivor, and thank you for Grain SA for creating this platform. Very warm welcome, Deputy President. It's an absolute honor to be on the stage with you. I think that it's a very unfamiliar industry for a lot of people, but I do think that the industry holds a lot of potential. A lot of people don't know this, but South Africa is a net importer of olive currently in South Africa. So we produce about 1/3, which is about 3,700 hectares of olive country, and we import 2/3, mainly from Europe. So if you ask me the opportunity, I would say 2/3 is the opportunity for South Africa. We're sitting in olive. We don't have a lot of transformation. We do have farms that does transformation. However, the 2/3, if we get that right, it could be transformative. Olive is also a low risk crop. What I mean by that is that if you look at other crops like deciduous and citrus, there's a high rate of theft. Nobody steals olives because it doesn't taste well if it's on the tree. So you've got a low risk crop. Even if you look at the tree itself, there is water required, but not a lot. If you look at award-winning olive oils, they come from a very dry land area, which makes it also very useful for farms. We are also sitting with issues like chemicals being registered, which is where we are working at the moment, to get chemicals registered. So it's a low-risk crop, highly profitable. You do require input costs for the first 2, 3 years, but once the tree is there, olive trees, I've seen trees lasting 170 years old who has never received attention. Once they receive a little bit of water for 2 years, that tree bears fruit that you can't imagine. So low risk, high profitability. It's like me, it doesn't need a lot of attention, but we flourish. So I think that there's a lot of potential. Thank you, Ivor.
Thank you for that overview. Wendy Peterson, she's the CEO of SA Olive. We also bring you greetings. Thank you. We also bring you greetings from South Africa Wine, who sends their apologies this morning. We have a special guest in the room. It's not every day that we have the Deputy President here, but also his spouse. Mrs. Mashatile, I'm not going to put you on the spot to say a few words. Do you mind just standing so we can give you a warm round of applause and welcome? Deputy President, I know you're keen to hear some of the farmers and the realities. And we've got two farmers in the house. I'm going to ask you to join me. I look pretty, come join me. Next to it, Kagiso Malateri. He's a deciduous fruit and tomato farmer. He's the in thing at the moment, Deputy President. Kagiso, please join me. Don't be shy for the deputy. Andries van der Poel is also here. He's a wheat farmer. I'd like you to give them a warm round of applause. Andries, where are you? Thank you for joining us. Now, listen, from the big picture to the farm gate, let's stand so people can see you. You represent the heartbeat of agriculture. This is a very, very dynamic province. You new era farmers. And we want to hear what keeps you up at night, what gives you hope. So maybe we start with you, Kagiso. Tell us a little bit about your farming journey. Who are you? What do you farm with? How long have you been doing it?
Absolutely. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak. What keeps me up at night? Oh my. So obviously we're living in a world where there's quite a lot of geopolitical noise in the system, and we rely quite heavily on exporting quite a lot of our fruit, particularly at the farm my brother and I are involved in. We farm in the Robertson area. We predominantly farm plums, export plums. On top of that, we've got a basket of other fruits, including nectarines, apricots, and now, I could say, with more prominence in our farm, tomatoes has become quite an important you could say, component of our farming. So certainly, I mean, the geopolitical risks are quite a big topic, and I'm sure Trump's, tweets and everything, I mean, it keeps us certainly up at night. But I could certainly say the one thing that gives me hope is that, we've demonstrated, even though like I'm still fairly young, South Africa as a nation has always demonstrated an ability to adjust and find new ways to get things done. So I'm proudly South African, and I think there's certainly opportunities from, you could say, the noise in the system.
Andres, how about you? Where do you farm? What's your story?
Thank you, Ivor. I first want to thank Deputy President Mashatile. It's a privilege to have you here. I think it's important to be present in the Western Cape. So I thank you very much. Ivor, yeah, I always tell the people I can speak for the Indonesians. And the first three Afrikaans, so I will try my best with my fourth one. Okay, yeah, Ivor. For me, I think what keep me up at night is the fact that I'm a farmer. I was born a farmer. I'm still a farmer, and there's a lot of potential in the farming industry. For the past 11 years, I'm on the wheat farm, livestock, a little bit of maize, and it's a passion. I think every morning it's a new day. There's a lot of challenges, but I, that keep you awake. But the other things keep you positive, and that's the opportunities for our children. Because in the past we didn't have this opportunity that we have now, and thanks to all the role players in the industry, I think there's a huge advantage for us to going forward. Yeah.
So I know Duncan wants to speak to some of the experts in the room about export and biosecurity, but I'm curious. I mean, you new era farmers, you were born a farmer. It's not easy. What did your road to commercialization look like? I know that it takes a village. Who helped you to get here?
Oh, yes, quite certainly. We certainly wouldn't have had the opportunity to be farmers ourselves had there not been an ecosystem that supports us, of which, importantly, I mean, the land bank was our funder in my brothers and I's venture. But over and above that, there's many other organizations that have always been prepared to help and guide, provide, you could say, IP that certainly, I mean, comes with many, many years of experience, of which partners in Agri-Land Solutions that really gave us an opportunity to meet numerous farmers who've been in the industry for many, many years and had the appetite to, journey with someone who is new in the industry and, was a passion to want to seek transformation while also being commercially, you could say, astute as a businessman. So I could certainly say, I mean, not only the land bank, but partners in Agri-Land Solutions, the Department of Western Cape Agriculture, we would be completely lost without those role players in the industry. And I'll forever extend my gratitude to them for all the efforts that they invest in us.
So just to understand correctly, are you a product of blended finance?
Yes, most certainly.
Wow, that's amazing. Andres, your journey?
Yeah, I think for me there's a lot of role players, and the first one is the Department of Rural Development, who helped me to lease the farm from them. But like Jeremiah stated, we need the title deeds from the farms. For us to go forward, we need it. And then there's Department of Agriculture. I see Dr. Magali here. They also have a huge impact on our farm. And then from 2015, it's Grain SA. They also help us a lot. So I have to thank them also. And then Land Bank. I think from 2020, we was with Land Bank. So I want to thank Land Bank also. And for us, there's I think there's a lot of other things which need to be done. And I think, like Jeremiah said, and he said there's all the role players in the agriculture industry have to come together going forward to put these things behind us.
It takes a village. Thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing your stories. And it's lovely to hear Land Bank is an enabler, I think, for the big ecosystem. Please take a seat. Thank you. Duncan, over to you.
It's absolutely always wonderful to see and hear success stories from the floor. People like Afish and Andres, a young farmer, but by the way, Deputy President, that's in the export game. That's absolutely fantastic. I think we can give him a round of applause, being as young as he is. We now go to looking at exports and of course biosecurity, which is a very important conversation that we're having at the moment. And maybe for this part of the conversation, I'm going to call on Grant Nadia, who is the president of Marina SA. Also going to be joined by Dewald Olivier, the CEO of the Red Meat Industry Services. Maybe just to kick off the conversation, Dewald, I'll start with you. You have quite a great understanding of what the challenges are at the moment when it comes to biosecurity in the country. What are the main successes and challenges in your sector that your sector is facing right now when it comes to biosecurity? Let us know.
Um, Thank you, Duncan. Deputy President, sorry for my back, unlike the better side. Um, yeah, I think if we talk successes, and I think one of the biggest things is the way that we're dealing with foot-and-mouth disease currently, obviously raises, if we look at biosecurity, a lot of red flags. But what I can say is I think the cooperation between industry and government has proved, and is being proven, that there's a solution coming to the table. The task team that Minister Steenhuisen actually put in place, the fact that we can look at alternatives, the fact that we can start buying vaccine as industry organizations or industry role players. There's so many things currently happening that's saying there's hope. That on the biosecurity side. The fact that at the end of the day, industry role players are actually investing in their businesses, saying we need to look differently at the possible problems that biosecurity and the lack of biosecurity bring. From an export perspective, and that's where the good part is. The fact is that we have to remember it. All this sensation created about the foot-and-mouth disease and the problems that we have, we're still exporting. Only China has stopped exports at this stage, and obviously our neighboring countries, and that's a real concern for us and how we deal with unilateral stoppage of our products going out. But the rest of the world is still taking our products because the systems that we've put in place in looking at, for example, compartments, is still taking our product and we're still exporting. And that means the hard work that we've done together with government is already paying off. We've got the scope to export more. I know that our DG is now in Saudi Arabia with Minister Tao, and the feedback that we've got is they want more red meat, which is very good for us, and obviously also other agricultural products. We're looking forward to export more to those countries who want to do business with us. Maybe just on that, and I'd like to, we in the red meat industry has got, I would like to say, because we're on the farm in Tate, Mashatile, we would like to export to those markets who wants to work with us. We understand from the red meat perspective that there's guys and countries who do not necessarily want us there, and we said not now. We want to do and work with those countries who wants our friends. We will do business with them.
Grant, I want to quickly come to you. What are some of the realities that your industry is facing? Is it similar realities that the red meat industry is faced with? What's the challenges and what are the opportunities?
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Deputy President. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I think Dewald has pretty much covered all of it. You know, I stand representing the merino industry of South Africa, and everybody thinks wool first. The average merino farmer makes 80% of his income out of meat. So our major challenges lie around the meat. We need to get a system in place where something like foot and mouth doesn't affect us as negatively as what it does. Obviously, the stock industry, the small stock industry, which I represent part of, has in the last 4 or 5 years taken a major dip. We've had phenomenal rising costs. We've probably had the best part of a 35% drop in income. So those are all factors that are serious problems to our industry. how to address that? I think it's a simple thing. We all part of a larger ecosystem, and whether I'm producing a sheep or whether I'm producing maize or whether I'm producing whichever, we all just a small part of the puzzle, and each of us need to fulfill that role within the puzzle. So yes, that would be the challenges. I think successes on our part is in our industry. You know, I'm not going to claim that success from Marina SA part. I think I'm going to claim that success because Dewald and I are busy driving a huge part of our success. We've got the RPO that are driving a huge part of the success. So we won't claim that one. But successes are the fact that we can still export our wool. Our wool is still going out. Our wool is a 99.9% export product. So we should not take that section of our industry lightly. It's absolutely coming back in dollars. So, and then of course, Dewald and I have been doing brilliant work with the foot and mouth. Foot and mouth isn't our only challenge. We've got other challenges. One of our biggest challenges in the small stock industry are veterinary services. Our veterinary services are non-existent. You go into the small rural areas, there's nothing happening. Mr. Deputy President, we really need your support. We need input. We need the will to turn this around. I think from the farmer's perspective, the will is there. Our members are biosecure. They are practicing those things, but it's just crazy that foot and mouth would break out 700 kilometers from me, and my product is closed. So that would probably be.
I'm glad we're having the conversation because we've got government role players in the room right now to address some of those concerns that you have. And it's clear that even though the challenges exist, there are still positives happening within the space, regardless of those challenges. And maybe for this, I'm just going to try and be a sandwich in the middle. Just coming to you, Dewald, quickly, how should government protect markets as well as livelihoods while ensuring the safety and securing rather biosecurity? And then I'll pose this exact same question to you.
By being practical. So, Ntate Mashatile, I think the big thing is we understand that government has got a massive role to play with regards to how do we look at the international scene if we talk exports, but also locally if we look at what needs to happen on the ground. But if we are practical with regards to the solutions that we implement, we need to think that we've got a research fraternity within the South African context who can help us ensure that our product still remains world-class, but we look at South Africa. At the Indaba that we had a few weeks ago, months ago, we had a discussion with regards to how does the world view us and how do you take our product beyond our borders? And the fact is we need science. So we need guidance and the assistance of government to ensure that our science speaks louder than what we shout from a political level. We can shout politically all we want, but we need the science to also talk and underpin or underscore what we say from a political level. That's one thing. And the second thing is I want to go back to practical solutions. And I think we as industry, the farmers sitting here, the organizations, understand the problems and they understand the solutions that we have to put in place. And we also understand that we need to do that through regulations and make it accessible for everybody. But we need to be practical in finding our solutions because airy-fairy stuff do not work. If we want to go too far and be on the level of countries who have done this for many years in developed countries, this is, I want to say like that 300 movie, not this is Sparta, say this is Africa. And we need to do it like Africans. And again, it doesn't say we do it in a lesser standard. We say we do it our way, and people still want our product, even if we do it our way. We just need to tell them what we're doing.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Maybe just adding on to what Dewald said, how should government protect markets and livelihoods while ensuring biosecurity? What are your thoughts on that?
I think one of the easiest ways for government to protect our market, and I'm coming back right down to ground level as a producer. It needs to be made easier to do business. we're finding it impossible to do business, and it comes back down to something as simple in the rural area where I live. I live in a farm in the Hanover district, which is on the N1. We had a pretty decent rain season. Trucks could not get to our farms. We got gravel roads. Trucks could not get to our farms to move our produce. Those are simple little things. And Mr. Deputy President, I'm speaking to government right at the top echelon, but that comes back down to local government. So I do realise that I'm trying to kick the ball down the wrong alley, maybe, but I think that is probably the place where government can get involved the most. Is we need it from the bottom, right on the baseline. We need infrastructure improvements. We need access to markets. I would just take something like our wool industry. At the moment, we're exporting the best part of 80-85% of our wool to one single. Now, if we cannot see the danger in that, and it's great that we've got that country who's willing to take our wool away, but if we cannot see the danger in 85% of our product going to one country that's got the mat not by the corner, he's got it halfway, and he can just pull it out under us at any minute for whichever reason he might feel good at that stage, then we are in serious trouble down the road. The other thing that I think as producers, and I think I can speak across the board for all producers from government side, South African farmers are resilient. It doesn't matter what you farm with. If you're farming with olives, you're farming with sheep, you're farming with goats, it really doesn't matter what you're farming with. We are resilient. But we do need light in our tunnels. And the only organization that can put that light on for us is government. Put the light on for us, get your farmers to be positive, and they will produce for you.
Thank you. Another round of applause to our guests. Ivor, take us to innovation and finance.
Yeah, thank you, Duncan. Of course, it's protecting markets, managing risk. That's just part of the story. Farmers also need finance. They need innovation. They need solutions to grow. Themba, you are on stage already. I'm going to ask you a few questions if you'll bear with me. I know. Look, Henry is also here. He's the MD of Syngenta South Africa. Mr. Henry, do you mind joining me, flanking me here? Thank you for being here. I know Dani Minnar is here. He's the chairperson of Grain SA. Mr. Minnar, I'd like to ask you a question as well. And then maybe when I'm done with you, I want to go to Professor Bongani over here. Otherwise, it's a little bit crowded. Meneer Bangi, ek weet nie, staan 'n bietjie nader so the cameras can see you. Themba, maybe we start with you. Some of the obvious opportunities that you see on the ground, maybe even broader for the financial sector, for the land bank, but even the agriculture sector, because you have the privilege of looking from the outside in as a banker, and you've got a bit of a reputation as a fixer. How do you see it? Mr. Fixer.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the fixer, but yeah, I think in terms of the opportunities, there's indeed a lot of opportunities. Many of the challenges that are there today represent the opportunities that we can actually tap into. I think from the olives, we've already heard of the opportunity to actually replace the 2/3 of the imports that we are seeing in South Africa. In the poultry sector, huge opportunities as well. If you look at the poultry master plan, South Africa is supposed to be exporting about 20 to 25% of the poultry meat. We are still importing about 25% of the poultry meat in South Africa. Huge amount of opportunities to really develop that sector and meet some of the targets that have been set in the poultry master plan. We are in short of about 20 million day-old chicks per week. So huge amount of opportunities. Of course, things like the bird flu that keeps on outbreaking every now and then do pose a risk. We had that this past week. We had some bird flu outbreaks around the Delmas area, which again increases the risk. But huge amount of opportunities in the Western Cape in particular right now. Huge opportunity that we are partnering with Astral on the broiler side to actually bring in some transformation. We're talking to Dr. Mohale about that, and the Western Cape is going to see that. I think on some of the long-term high-value commodities like citrus, avocados. There's still a huge amount of opportunities that we can tap into. We see our citrus continue to perform really well globally. Um, we were with CGA and they were sharing the stats on the recent production. You can see our citrus remains a huge opportunity. The avocado sector is doing very, very well. We're seeing a lot of investment in there, a huge opportunity for us to invest and actually go beyond the traditional areas like Pumalanga, Limpopo, and start to get into the Midlands. The Midlands and the Howick area in KZN is starting to be a good area to do some very good varieties of avocados that can be exported. And of course, I've spoken about the role that the development bank can do in helping government to address some of the infrastructure challenges. A huge amount of opportunity there for us as well to come in and start to play a role in there. I spoke about some of the bulk water infrastructure projects that we are starting to actually uh, participate in. Yesterday, we met with the water board that we are looking at a project here in the Western Cape. We shared with Dr. Mahale, the HOD for Western Cape today, about that particular project and some other infrastructure project, Deputy President, that we have identified. We identified the Makatini flat to be also another area where there is a very good dam. The farmers are farming dry land, yet there's a dam that we can actually do some work. So I think on the transformation side, we're starting to see huge amount of interest from the young people, people across all genders interested in agriculture, an opportunity to actually work with other established players and really transform the sector. So agriculture, actually, there's an opportunity to reduce that average age of agriculture that we always complain about and bring in the youth into the sector. So I think the opportunities are many. I see the land reform deputy president as an opportunity as well. We always talk about the 2.5 million hectares of land that government has acquired that we have not really done enough on. We've made some proposals to the department. Minister Nyonso is holding a technical meeting on the 23rd of September, where we hope that we will agree a way forward in how to work together and assist government in gaining some traction on the land reform. So huge amount of opportunities that we are working on, and of course, opportunity to partner with all the other critical stakeholders and have the impact that we want to have. Thank you.
Thank you, Temba. Look, you represent Syngenta South Africa. There's a lot of innovation happening there in science, etc. But what do you see as some of the um, obvious opportunities on the ground? What gives you optimism for the future?
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. As you can hear, I'm not from South Africa. I'm a French citizen, and I'm looking at South African agriculture from a different angle, obviously. First of all, I was educated here 20 years ago. Thank you, South Africa. And when I look at what's happening today in South Africa versus 20 years ago in agriculture, it's night and day. So I'm very optimistic and very privileged to be working in South Africa today, and I strongly believe in agriculture. And the key thing for me is this resilience. I think it was mentioned before. South African farmers are super resilient when I compare them to the ones in Europe. These guys make plans. They're not complaining. They go ahead. They find solutions. And this mindset is a real asset. It's a real asset. So yes, I'm optimistic. I heard the comment about wheat before, which I also share. I think on the one hand, it's a big threat. It's also a big opportunity. We're investing a lot in the wheat genetics when other people are going out. So we're very convinced, for example, with that crop, and we want to do more. So I think this partnerships, this mindset, this is what makes me very optimistic for the future.
20 years in South Africa, that means you can braai. So yeah, welcome home. Danny, from your perspective, you move up just one. I'm scared there's going to be noise from you.
Yes, thank you very much for the opportunity. And Mr. Deputy President, thank you again for being here. You attend NAMPO, and at NAMPO, the NAMPO big show in Bothaville, you spoke about we have to produce our own food in the country. We don't need to import. And you listen to the panel and to the speakers from the ground this morning, and I hope you hear what the concerns is. Helene talked about the import tariffs and the import of wheat, and the olive side agreed with that. It's basically the same things. Jeremiah talked about the development farmers and the way they have to go and how do we need them. Jaco talked about infrastructure and the whole moving food around, moving product around, moving inputs around, and the trouble that we have with that. And then the land bank help us with finance, and they are moving into that space. And there's a lot of other farmers, the wool industry, all the red meat. Luke talked about the technologies, and what is a fact is South African farmers are very good farmers. They're the best farmers in the world, and but we need support from government. We need all these things that I just mentioned now to make us even better, to make us comparable with the international farmers. We need to be supported, not necessarily financial, but supported in the ways to make living on the farm easy, to make it much more profitable to be on the farm, to support our local rural areas. I don't know how many times have you moved through local small towns these days, especially in the northern parts of the countries. They're falling apart. So we as farmers need to help them. And like Luke said, I looked on the TV every day and I see the French farmers protesting and the European farmers protesting. Our South African farmers, we never protest, but we go and we fix the problem. We are creators by mind. We find the solution for a problem. We don't put it on somebody else, but we need the support from government. And I'm not only talking about national government. We need from provincial government. We need from local governments. We need support to help us to take our hand and form a partnership and creating jobs, safe food, and cheap food also for the nation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen. I'm going to ask you to take your seats. It was Mr. Luke Henry, is the MD of Syngenta South Africa. Dani Minnar is the chair of Grain SA. And Duncan's dying to talk to you, Professor Bongani, but maybe, Themba, I just want to bring the topic of innovation, support, strategy together. What needs to come together for farmers to grow sustainably, to stay resilient as you step up, sir? Themba.
Yeah, so I think we need to be quite innovative on how we approach development and really work together as the partners. I say that if us as the land bank can ever say that we can do it alone by our own, I think we're lying to everybody. We need to be innovative on how we really leverage the little financial resources that we have in the country. There is work done by Prof. Max Swelling looking at the financial architecture of South Africa and how we actually don't use our financial architecture well by trying to duplicate and not working together, and how we actually work so much in silos. So there's an opportunity to partner and be innovative. I think solutions like the blended finance, they are actually such a powerful tools to develop the sector and to transform it. We need a lot of those blended finance solutions. I've spoken quite a lot during the G20 to go beyond just blending a loan and a grant together into coming up with comprehensive blended finance solutions, which I think if you actually work together as partners, sector, government, and us as the development financial institutions, we can actually put the funding together to transform the sector. We need to be quite innovative on how we anchor development around the big players. Development alone without the big players is not going to be sustainable. In fact, we were with the finance minister on Friday last week. He reiterated that for us to have sustainability in development, we need to continue to support the commercial players. We need to continue to work with the bigger players and anchor development around that. We've spoken a lot about anchoring our development on market access players and ensure that we are able to to leverage that. And of course, we need to be quite innovative. And how we work together as government entities. I went to Dieval the other day and asked Dieval, I heard that ARC has developed a vaccine for FMD. And if we work with the ARC and help to develop it, will RMIS take it? And Dieval said, and I asked him, have you tested this vaccine? And Dieval said, we tested the vaccine, it works. But where are we stuck today? ARC is not having the money to finance the vaccine. So we actually are now trying to be innovative and work together with ARC on how we can partner, Deputy President, and help ARC to actually develop that vaccine that red meat industry said, if we can develop it in South Africa, we can use it in the country. So I think those type of innovations, working with partners on how we can actually develop together. Thank you. I'll stop there.
Thank you so much, Timber. Prof, you heard what's coming from the stage. Lots of talk about innovation. I think innovation from an agricultural research council perspective, you guys are at the forefront of innovation. Piggybacking on what Timber said, what are the opportunities and the challenges that you see from an ARC perspective? And what would you say gives you optimism about the future?
And there's a saying, indigenous saying about Isinamva. You can translate that. It's a bit of coming to the end. It's, every word has been taken. I mean, we listen from everyone. First of all, the Agricultural Research Council was formed by the Act of Parliament in 1990. And we have, evolved it in 2001, I believe. We are existing to support almost all the commodities that were mentioned here today and more. I can specifically mention grain, if I can start from them, all the grains, small, winter and summer grains, to fruits, vegetables, industrial crops. We forget about industrial crops, they're very important. We talk about fruits, we talk about animals, both red and white animals, and so on and so forth. With there as the statutory instrument for innovation, for research and development. As I said, the Agricultural Research Act is specifically prescribing to the ARC to do research for the industry, for the success of industry. And we've seen results of this over the last 100 years. In particular, after 1994, coming to now, talking about optimism as well as the performance of the industry. It has grown exponentially after the deregulation era. 1996, those who were there would know that the deregulation came with a lot of instruments of financing R&D in agriculture. We know that there are levies that are collected for R&D and other market access, all the commodities from grains, as I said, to red meat and many others in between. We collect levies, a lot of that is for investment in R&D. We have seen challenges in the last 20 years, in particular 15 or so, where that disjuncture between the ARC and commodity bodies was shaky. And it's something that needs to be fixed, and must maybe start by doing the protocols, Mr. Deputy President and Deputy First Lady, protocol observed, before I forget that and get into trouble. But I'm passionate and active and happy about people realigning and coming back to the ARC. ARC, for example, talking about transformation, talking about resilience, we talked about innovation, that we had to make sure that South Africa is food secure. It is extremely embarrassing for a war on the other side of the world between Russia and Ukraine to affect the price of oil, cooking oil in South Africa. Those who go to the shop will know what was the price of oil, cooking oil before and after the war or during the war. So that's what the ARC is supposed to bring to the agricultural sector, solutions so that we are producing our own food. If we are producing our own food, we get good price for fertilizers, as well as IP, which is extremely, extremely important. I mentioned it, Deputy President, at your last trip to the region. You seem to be very frequenting here. We were together at the dam and at the farm, apple farm. There I mentioned you can have the land, you can have the water, but if you don't have access
through seed, sovereign seed, then the foreigners or foreign seeds can actually take into account your inability to or dictate who can plant the seed. So the ARC owning the IP, most of the plant breeders' rights in the Southern Hemisphere, is a good instrument indeed to make sure that we are sovereign in our food security. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Bongani Ndimba. Please take your seat. Let's give him a warm round of applause. Thank you for your time. We moved through it swiftly, Deputy President. I know you want to play some roaster cook and have some coffee here. But Duncan, maybe over to you for the final part of this morning.
Thank you so much. We now go to the executive mayor of Overberg municipality, who will quickly do a brief reflection, and then we'll also then introduce our deputy president. Just a brief reflection, and then over to the deputy president.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's probably not going to be that brief because it's a dangerous thing to give a politician a mic this time of year. But nevertheless, Mr. Deputy President, thank you very much for being here. Very word of welcome to you and the second First Lady, if that is what we call it. Welcome in our region. People might start to talk, Deputy President, because you were here just last week. So it looks like you've got a new witbroodjie or a new favorite, but thank you very much nevertheless. Colleagues, thank you very much for being here. The Overberg, Deputy President, is a very special place. It's one of the 44 districts in the country. So up north, a bit further north, we've got the cradle of humankind. Here in the Overberg, here at NAMPO, we've got the cradle of commercial agriculture. And you are very, very welcome in agriculture, yeah, in the cradle of the Overberg. So literally just a few kilometers from here, we've also got the cradle of modern man down in the Wip. So yeah, it's a very special place. But nevertheless, we've got all the industries here. We spoke about the wood industry and so forth. This was literally the starting place of the wool industry. In the late 1800s, 7 merino sheep, ewes and a ram was imported from Spain, and this is where the wool industry started, right here in the Overberg. And I can say quite a lot about commercial agriculture. I'm an agriculturalist myself. I'm actually just a farmer in the Overberg, just down the road in Swellendam. So that's where I come from. This is where my roots are. So agriculture and commercial agriculture is very close to my heart and very dear what I do. In my other life, I'm an agricultural economist. So agriculture is the blood of the economy in this region. 22.5% of the GDP from this region comes from agriculture, commercial agriculture. And that's significantly huge. If you look at the statistics, the job opportunities that's in commercial agriculture, Mr. Deputy President, it's big. A couple of years ago when we had COVID-19, it was only the agricultural sector that stood up, created the jobs and kept the jobs actually. Here in the Western Cape, believe it or not, in the second quarter, agriculture actually grew. It grew not just by single digits, but actually with double digits. And that's how important commercial agriculture is in the Western Cape. And we can only thank the Department of Agriculture in the Western Cape for that, because what they do for commercial agriculture here in this region is significant. It's huge. So many years ago, about 20 years ago, 25 years ago, people asked me to become part of local government. And I said, probably, maybe not. And then I realized commercial agriculture is so close to local government. I need to put up my hand and do something about it. And I become part of this structure here in the Overberg and part of the biggest Western Cape. There's a few building blocks that we need to get right the economy in order for us to grow the economy, to create jobs, and to sustain what we've got. Here in the Western Cape, and particularly here in the Overberg, we realize that there's 4 priorities that we need to look at. And without those 4 priorities, we won't be able to do what we should to grow the economy. Number 1 is water. We spoke about that last week, Deputy President. Water and water security is of utmost importance. Energy, we're doing quite a lot about energy and especially green energy and sustainable energy in this part of the world. And then one of the previous speakers spoke about the infrastructure in this region, not just this region, but for the rest of the country as well. Without infrastructure, not just roads, all the other infrastructure as well, water and so forth, we did literally dead in the water, pardon the pun. And then one of the most important things in this region that we're focusing on is the people of this region. Their safety and security, utmost importance. Their well-being, but most important is their education. And the way we deal with people is of utmost importance. And if there's one thing we realized is that relationships between the public sector and the private sector is of utmost importance. And I want to make an example of that, Deputy President, and I'm going to leave you with it. Like like a good politician, I know when to stop, but I need to, I need to bring this point over. Quite a few years ago, we realized that in the private sector, there's still a lot of money that can assist the public sector. And without the private sector and public sector coming together, we won't be able to make this country and this province and this region a success. So I made it my highest priority, get the infrastructure right. So we all know that unfortunately there's not enough money in the fiscus to get everything right like we should and do what we should. And that's why relationships are so very important. I made it my work to go to each and every single agricultural union meeting in the province and especially in this region. And farmers, commercial agriculturalists, they are the ones that's assisting this district municipality, building roads. So twice a year, every year, we drive every single kilometer of gravel road in this region. We've got roughly 4,000 kilometers of gravel road in the Overberg. To put that into perspective, it's roughly from Cape Town to Durban and back, 4,000 kilometers. We drive that twice a year. We put every single road on a priority list, every single one. Then we look at the fiscus, the provincial fiscus and our fiscus, and see what kind of money have we got. With that, we budget. And with that, I go to the commercial agricultural sector and say, listen, guys, we need to build this road, but we haven't got the money. We've got roughly 14, maybe 45%. What is it that commercial agriculture can bring to the table? And I'm saying this very humble. This region's gravel roads and surface roads are the best in the country for one reason, and one reason only. It's because of commercial agriculture. So the rest of the budget, commercial agriculture is bringing to the table, not just in money, but in kind as well, with water, with gravel, with yellow plant, and so forth. So I stand here before you, Mr. Deputy President, humble, but extremely proud to be from the commercial agricultural sector as well. And I would like to thank commercial agriculture for the huge contribution that they're doing, not just to this region and to the Western Cape, but to South Africa. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Executive Mayor. Please rise as we again welcome the Deputy President for his reflections.
Okay, I think let's sit.
You may be seated. Thank you.
I think let's sit. Executive Mayor, let me thank you for the introduction. I was not aware that I'll come to Overberg, in a week's time, because I was here last week. So when I agreed to come to NAMPO, I didn't know it's here. And when I asked the guys, so where's NAMPO? They says Overberg. So we are back here. But thank you very much for for the introduction, Executive Mayor, because you actually covered me. Let me start from where you ended some of your remarks that I think it's important that government at all levels should support the farming industry, should support farmers in whatever way we can. And I want to thank all the panelists who are here. I listened carefully to what you said and all the speakers. Uh, and I want to say to all of you, I'm actually happy to be here at NAMPO. I did attend the one in Botterville. I was looking forward to be here. So I'm quite happy to be here and happy to be with all of you. When I was here last week, I was accompanied by ministers, the Minister of Land and Rural Development was also there, and some deputy ministers. So we're going to make sure that the relevant ministers interact with yourselves, particularly farmers. We have a Minister of Agriculture, you know, Minister of Rural Development, and other ministers, particularly water and sanitation, also critical. Uh, but I think it's important the issues that we are raising, we see how to deal with them in order to support our farming sector, particularly the issue of roads. I'm quite happy, Executive Mayor, that you have this partnership with the farmers to work on your roads. And we will find a way to get the provincial government, national government to also support those initiatives. Raise the issue of water. When we were there last week, we were looking at the dam there, Dear Waterskloof. And this issue was raised that, in fact, the Minister of Rural Development actually raised this issue that we need to increase our catchment area because we have good rainfalls in the region, but we don't have enough catchment areas. But overback is very important because your dam actually supplies water to the city of Cape Town as well. But we must make sure that the farmers have adequate water for their products. So that issue of an additional dam, additional catchment area is something that we are working on now. Agriculture is the backbone of our economic development. It ensures our food security, and therefore we must do everything to make sure it succeeds. The emerging farmers, we know your challenges, access to funding, finance. I'm happy the Land Bank is here. The APSA is also here. It's APSA is the anchor, in fact, of supporting this expo, but there are other commercial banks as well. So the issue of access to funding is very important. So I'm happy that everywhere I've gone to this kind of meeting, the Land Bank is always there. Sometimes the IDC as well is also there. Because government institutions must be at the forefront of providing support. I was saying the last time when we were here, in fact, when we were in Dear Waterskloof, that there are farmers who have received land through land redistribution. But often you find that emerging farmers who receive land don't have a follow-up support. You know, government buys the land, distributes it, and then leaves you alone. Then you have no access to funding, you don't have implements, and so on. So we are looking at that matter to say we need to be able to create instruments and support mechanisms for these emerging farmers so that we can succeed. Otherwise, you get the land, you don't have expertise, or you don't have access to funding, then you can't till the land. That becomes effort that is not productive. So thank you to the financial institutions that are supporting, as I said, Land Bank, ABSA, IDC, and others as well. The other thing, of course, is the markets. We need secure markets for our products. We are engaging with the United States of America. As you know that President Trump has decided that he's going to levy 30% tariffs to South African products. And we know that it's going to affect our farmers. So there is an engagement. The president is sending a team back to Washington. We were told that we were at the very low level of people who are being considered for engagement. There's a long list of people who want to speak to President Trump. He put us at the bottom. But this week we got a report that no, they've now brought us up. And they've given us a date. The 17th of September, we must make our way to Washington. So we were happy that we brought up from the bottom. We don't know why they changed their mind, but there are other things they want to discuss with us, which they are interested in, which is critical minerals. And they know that South Africa is actually the hub, and they consider us the hub of critical minerals. So we have been prioritized because they want to discuss that with us as well. So when we are there, we will obviously engage on this issue and make them aware how harmful is 30% of tariff on our products, especially agricultural products. But in the meantime, we also discussed that let's diversify our markets. Let's not just look at one region of the world. Let's look at the European Union. Let's look at China, Russia, India, most of the Eastern Bloc, including the UAE. When I was in Russia this year to meet with President Putin, they briefed me about their interest in importing South African agricultural products. In fact, they took me to a harbor where I did see South African citrus fruit being offloaded in Russia. Same as China, they are interested in our products as well. So we will continue to open those markets for our farmers. Red meat as well, as you know that China is already importing our red meat, and we need to increase. You are dealing with in China a market of 1.5 billion people.